Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca. Today I am doing a Beauty and the Beast tag. If I can find out who the original person that came up with the tag is, I'll go ahead and put them down below. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the bell icon. That way you'll be the first to be notified anytime I upload a video. If you know anyone who would like to see my videos, go ahead and hit the share button and send them my way. So there, in the Beauty and the Beast tag, there are 9 questions, and I pulled books. I pulled out some books to go along with my questions. So let's begin. Question number 1. Oh, what a guy, Gaston. A villain you can't help but love. And I chose Alessandra from The Shadows Between Us. She is the lead character in this book, and this is by Trisha Levenseller. Alessandra is the lead character in this book, but she is the very gray, morally gray character. She goes into the book wanting to deceive the king, wanting to potentially commit murder after hopefully wooing him and marrying him. And it's one of those things where the beginning of the book, you like almost want to hate her just because you think, like, you know, you can see how she thinks and how she reacts, and then you get to know her a little bit more. You kind of understand where she's coming from, her past, and then, you know, as the story progresses, you can't help but like her and admire her courage and the way she actually is. Number 2, here's where she meets Prince Charming. Who is your OTP or one true pairing? I actually have 2 books for this. There's so many good ones out there, but these 2 have stuck out the most to me. And the first one is from Vampire Academy, written by Rochelle Mead. And the 2 lead characters in here is Rose Hathaway and Dimitri, and those 2, like, I don't know, you can't help but want to root for them and root for my puppy. You can't help but want to root for them and their relationship to succeed, even though all of these other obstacles are happening. But they're one that I read years ago, and it still holds a special place in my heart. The second one is from Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco, and in it you have Audrey Rose, who she is the lead character in it, and you have Thomas Cresswell, and both of them are working for her uncle as assistants in a situation where they're learning about forensics. That's the word. So they're learning and studying forensics underneath her uncle, and it is during the string of the Jack the Ripper cases, and so they're actually having to study the bodies and try and figure out who's committing these murders. And just the chemistry between the 2, it's amazing. You know, Thomas Cresswell, he's his own character. You think at first that he's this really shy, almost not crass, what's the word? He reminds me a lot of Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy. He has a lot of Mr. Darcy where he's Mr. Darcy, but quick-witted, where, you know, he can't help but charm those around him, and I love it. So this is another pairing that I truly, absolutely loved reading. So there you go. Number 3, I want much more than this provincial life. A character that is destined for greater things. And I would have to pick Laszlo Strange from Strange the Dreamer. Almost the entire book, he is a very minor person. He works in a library. He, you know, was an orphan, but he just has all of these big thoughts and these big hopes and these big dreams, and you just can't help but root for him and want more for him in his life. And the things that happen to him and the finally things start to turn. Interesting. Finally things start to turn for him, and you learn things about him and his past, and it just like proves every inch of what you think about him during the entire book, and you can't help but just want him to succeed in life and be, you know, more than what he was given as a child. Number 4, Be Our Guest, a book that made you hungry. I had to pick, this one was actually kind of hard, because when you read, there have been books where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to try and make these recipes, but I can't, like, I had the hardest time trying to remember which books were that way. However, I did pick The Selection by Kira Cass. In it, America Singer, she goes from being in a very poor lifestyle and eating basically just the basic stuff to living in a castle and eating all of these amazing things. And she actually says at one point in this book that she's there for the food. And I absolutely loved it. And there are things in here that they were talking about pastries and this and that, and it literally made my mouth water. Like, I wanted to just go in the kitchen and try and find something like strawberry delicious and yummy goodness to snack on while I was reading this book. Number 5, Beauty and the Beast, a book where opposites attract. And I couldn't go with anything other than Serpent and Dove, and this is by Shelby Maron. I think I'm saying her last name properly. And you can't get any more opposite from a witch and a witch hunter being forced to marry each other. And I absolutely love this book. It was a fun read. It was an amazing read. This one, you know, the two characters couldn't be further apart from each other. You have the lead character, Lou, and she is just crass. She cusses. She, you know, is very, I don't know, like usually you have it the other way where the female is very pure and, you know, she gets drawn out by this crass guy, but it was actually the opposite, where she is just very loud and you know, for the era that it was written in France, you know, ladies didn't talk like that. They didn't act like that. And so when she started to be around Reed was very much the opposite. He is very, you know, he works for the king as like a, not a priest, but he works under the priest, and he is a witch hunter, and they have very strict codes. They are very prudish and very, like, they only get married once, kind of a thing. And it's just, I love seeing the dynamic of these two characters being thrown together, and her harassing him all the time about, you know, certain things, and him blushing, and how they kind of live in this somewhat unorthodox cohesiveness lifestyle. And yes, this was a fun read, and I truly enjoyed it. Number 6, But There's Something in Him That I Simply Didn't See, a character who's more than they appear. And the character that I chose was Harper from A Curse So Dark and Lonely. And because she has a physical ailment, I believe she's got cerebral palsy, which, you know, is sort of like a handicap, but she doesn't look at it that way. She actually doesn't let the fact that she has this disease control her life. And she is a spitfire. She doesn't take crap from anybody, and she doesn't care who they are or where they're coming from. She controls her own life, and she does not let the fact that her cerebral palsy stop her from doing things that she feels that she should be able to do. This was an amazing read. If you haven't read it yet, it's a great book. Number 7, I was innocent and uncertain, but now I'm wiser and insecure. A book that changed you in some way. And I would have to say that Twilight was kind of a turning point in my life. before that, I mostly read like mystery books and or like adult fantasy, not adult fantasy, adult paranormal books. I read a lot of like Harlequin mystery books. Those were a lot of the books that I read. And when I picked this up, I realized how much I truly enjoy reading the young adult genre or area of books. And because of this, it opened my eyes to a whole new world of books, and just the enjoyment of it and the love of it that I have for these books now all stem from reading Twilight. Number 8, Kill the Beast, a book you picked up because of the hype. And that would have to be Six of Crows, and it's by Leigh Bardugo. This one I have finally actually read. Yay! I'll be doing a video about it later on, but I would have to say that this book definitely lives up to its hype. But this one was purchased because of the hype, and I'm glad I did. Number 9, I'll Never Shake Away the Pain. And it is a book that made you cry. And I know I always go for the same book every time this question comes up because I don't cry very much with books, but there have been just a couple that made me bawl. And I'm trying to switch gears so that way I'm not constantly always showing you guys the same books. But the book that I chose for this one was The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I remember the first time reading this, I started bawling, hysterically bawling. And my husband looked over at me because he was sitting in the same room with me. He looks over and he's like, you know, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? And I just showed him the book and he's like, oh, okay. And it just wrenched my heart when, and I, you know, I think everybody, this book is very well known because of the movie adaptation, whether you've read it or not. But the part where she volunteers as tribute to save her sister. Oh my gosh, like my heart. I bawled watching the movie, I bawled reading the book. Anytime I've picked up the book since, I mean, it's just one of those that you just can't get past because of her love of her sister, and I couldn't help myself but bawl. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and if you haven't done this tag already, please do and tag me in the post, that way I can watch it and see what your answers are. Yeah, so if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that bell icon. Anytime I upload a video, you'll be the first ones to be notified. And if you know anyone that would enjoy my videos, go ahead and hit the share button and go ahead and send them my way. I would really, really appreciate it. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.